What a wild Friday. The entire crypto market went through a massive flash crash. And truly, this is a 1 in every 5 years type of event. If you haven't been in crypto long enough, you would not have seen anything like this before. A lot of people are calling this the largest liquidation event in crypto history. Not in the sense that it's dollar value the biggest, but just how wide that every single altcoin got affected. This was the first time I've seen this type of move ever. And I've been in this industry for 8 years. So in today's live stream, I want to give you guys a bit of update on how I see the current market going, why I believe this is still a good time to be buying, not only Bitcoin, but also the large cap altcoins. And we will dive into some of the actual data, comparing this market crash to some of the previous ones from the ones around the late cycle peaks in 2021 and late 2021, as well as the COVID crash, and why this doesn't actually resemble that as much, because Bitcoin held up really well. So there are about 3 or 4 of these comparable liquidations before that I'll show you guys. And with that data, I can then give you my perspective on why this is still a good buying opportunity and what triggers we need to watch for next in case we are wrong. So anything is possible, to be fair, with this type of event. After gut tells me is that the sentiment is so low, this is a great buying opportunity. But never say never, and there are points we need to be watching out for, especially on Bitcoin and on Bitcoin dominance. Those still have to hold in order for our thesis to continue. So that is on the agenda for today. Let's get right into it. I want to break this down in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 sections I wanted to cover. So first, let's get the immediate actions out of the way. I want to give you a summary of my current actions, why I'm still bullish. So you guys have seen my last video that is pinned on the channel right now, called why I'm very bullish for October, and there are 6 reasons why this is a really good time to be buying altcoins. So long story short, all of the thesis, all of the analysis from that video still hold true despite this big liquidation. So if you go in there, okay, first is that October is the most bullish month for Bitcoin, and that is still the case. Bitcoin is technically way lower than when we made that last video. Bitcoin currently trades at 113K when it was at 122K last week. So on average, 9 out of 10 times, October is bullish for Bitcoin. Point number 2, whenever Bitcoin makes a new all-time high, altcoins rally. Very simple. Now, the point from current price to the all-time high is a bit further away. So from 113K, if we are to get above 125K, there's a bit of grind, a bit of chop. So until Bitcoin actually breaks above 125, there could be more chop on alts. But still, if the average returns of October plays out again for Bitcoin, that will bring us to around 138K, which will bring more interest into altcoins. Number 3 reason, altcoin total market cap in the last 2 years, they tend to chop in October and rally in November and December after Bitcoin already has started to rally. So this played out actually very similar to my projections from that video, although it's very sudden. So I believe the chart we used was this one, the total 3 excluding stablecoin market cap divided by Bitcoin. And we used seasonality right here. So on average, you see the month of October tends to chop, and then November and December, they are up, like back here, like back here in 2023 and in 2024. And this wasn't really a chop. It's pretty extreme, but the average returns of altcoins versus Bitcoin played out for October. We hit the lows and then we ran the lows. But that doesn't mean we can't have bullish November and December. So the same thing actually still holds true here. Okay, and then reason number 4, altcoin versus Bitcoin performance in October, November, December. It's basically the same. And then reason number 5 here is we are in a macro altcoin season in the second half of 2025 compared to 2023 and 2024. This was because Bitcoin dominance was in a weekly downtrend, showing lower highs and lower lows and staying below the 50-week SMA right here. So going back to the current chart, that looks like this, where there was the high, the lower low, lower high, lower low. And now we ran this wick right there, but we didn't close above it. You can't really say, oh, this was a high. And we had this set up from the last video. In fact, this line I drew here, I believe, right here. So as long as we stay below this previous lower high on Bitcoin dominance, technically that's still a macro downtrend, which means we are expecting a larger altcoin season to come after. And because of this V-shaped, like inverse V-shaped move, we are still in a macro downtrend on Bitcoin dominance. So this is good. It's just that this move was so sudden and so big that most people got liquidated and the sentiment got reset right here. But we didn't close above the previous high here. So that's actually really nice. And in fact, it ran the 5% up move on Bitcoin dominance for October on average. Most investors in crypto, they only want one easy to understand thesis. Should I buy altcoins or should I sell altcoins? Most people don't even hold Bitcoin. And at this point, at the current moment, what has been hit the most? What has been liquidated? Which market from last Friday? It's altcoins only. Bitcoin was fine. I mean, it dropped, but this was not that big. It went from 121.8K to even the lowest of the wick was 105K. This was fine. These are the levels from August, from September, and the 50-week SMA was not touched. Look, the 50-week SMA is right here. That's the bull market support at 102K right now. That wasn't even touched. I believe we went to the 20-week SMA. Yeah, we went to the 20-week SMA but bounced from it. So this is just like any other correction on Bitcoin. So really, the only market that was really, really hit hard are altcoins. And I'll show you that in a bit with total 3 market cap, etc. But just to leave off with that last point from my last video, if you're looking at buying or selling altcoins, the sentiment on altcoins right now is at cycle low. Nobody wants to touch altcoins because all the leverage in altcoins have been flushed out. But none of the fundamentals have changed. So you got to really separate your fear because of the red numbers that you saw on your altcoin portfolio over this from Friday to Saturday to right now and what could come next. Okay, disassociate yourself from what your portfolios look like before and just think about from current point until the end of the year, until 3 to 6 months from now, are altcoins likely to go up or down? In my opinion, now with this setting is way more bullish than last week even, because all the leverage have been flushed out. You look at any narrative, you tell anyone to buy any new narrative, anything, AI, stablecoin, whatever, right? Nobody's interested in anything. That's when you buy. So that's my kind of action statement, action summary right now. You want to be buying. Okay. Now let's go into some specifics of comparing this crash to the previous ones based on the charts by the percentage of down moves, and let's see what happened in the previous crashes that are similar. So let me take away the seasonality, and I found this indicator that's pretty cool. It's called volatility and big market moves, and basically you can set the percentage of moves in each candle that this indicator will find for you on the chart. So because Bitcoin didn't move much, this isn't going to show anything on the Bitcoin chart, but I'm going to use the total 3 excluding stablecoin market cap. So this is every single altcoin excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And also total 3 excluding stablecoin market cap divided by Bitcoin. These two are pretty nice to use here. So the most obvious 2 times that people will immediately draw comparison to are the COVID crash and the May 19, 2021 crash. Okay, these are 2 times where across the board, every single altcoin went down on average like 30%. Smaller altcoins went down 60 to 70%. Top 10 altcoins went down 20 to 30%. Both of those times, let's look at them first and whether they are similar to today or not. So when you look at March 11th or March 12th, 2020, that was when COVID was declared as a pandemic. So during that same day, you see that the total 3 market cap divided by Bitcoin ratio didn't even move. So that day is right here. Right here. You see there's no move. Why was there no move? This was because Bitcoin itself went down 50%. That's why, you see here is the chart of Bitcoin, and going back to 2020, right here, March 12, 2020. You see Bitcoin went from 8K to 4K. This is why, unless coins went down 95% on average, which they didn't, you're not going to see this firing on the ratio chart. So nonetheless, the total 3 market cap in general went down huge. So here's the total 3 excluding stablecoin market cap, and you see March 12th right here. So comparing Friday's crash to the COVID crash is not exactly accurate. Why? So because the Friday crash was very isolated to altcoins only. It didn't even affect Bitcoin that much, and it didn't affect any other markets. S&P was up, gold was up, other commodities are up, everything else was up, except for altcoins. So this is very different from the COVID crash. So for people that say, oh, hey, look, this is a, financial credit event, black swan, it wasn't. It was a crypto credit event where exchanges failed, market makers failed in crypto only. Okay, so not exactly comparable to March 12, 2020, where it's going to lead to the Fed stepping in for anything, because crypto is altcoins are very small market, and nothing else outside of altcoins were affected at all. Nobody really cared. Okay. And then we look at the next one, which was here, the May 19th, 2021 crash. Now, this was very similar because it didn't affect the S&P, it didn't affect gold, it didn't affect TradFi, but it was purely crypto-related crash. On May 19, 2021, altcoins died, Bitcoin died, and very similar to Friday. The main difference here was that on that same day, Bitcoin also crashed a lot. So when you go to 2021, May 19, that was right here. You see, right around this week, Bitcoin was already in a downtrend, and this was when it really puked from 45K, let's say, down to 30K. So this caused the huge crash on altcoins. Comparing that to today, to Friday, was also not very accurate because Bitcoin went from 122 down to 110. That wasn't really a big crash on Bitcoin. So this was also not as accurate. Now, this doesn't mean Bitcoin cannot go down further to further cause a even more liquidation on alts, but just something to consider there. If you are calling this as a market top, you really have to believe that Bitcoin is going to go down further because so far this has been very isolated on altcoins. Bitcoin was not hit nearly as much as all previous crashes. Yes, altcoins were hit very, very bad. When you look at total 3, all other altcoins compared to Bitcoin, they were down, what was it, like 25% within the same day. And when you look at specific alts, like the most shocking one to me was XRP. XRP is the 4th largest altcoin, 3rd largest altcoin, depending on when you look at it. It went from the day opening at $2.80 and it went down to $1.37. It dropped more than 50%. This was like nearly $100 billion of market cap wiped in literally a 1-hour candle. This was insane. Considering all those points, I really still believe this is not a top. It's really forced selling, whether you call it manipulation, whether you call it, built up leverage in the altcoin sector in general. There's no other way to explain this. Nothing else crashed except for altcoins. So the only question now is this a early cycle liquidity flush or is it late cycle liquidity flush? And to answer that question, you don't have to guess, okay? I know a lot of people will say, like, and they're trying to argue, hey, look, if you are very bullish, then you will draw comparison to the COVID crash and say, hey, look, this is the point where the bull market truly starts. However, there are also people who are bearish, and then they will say, hey, look, this is very similar to the September 2021 late cycle top or the early 2022 crash, similar to the FTX implosion. All of them can be very similar because they all just look like a big down candle on the chart. So there's no point in arguing because there are only like 3 or 4 previous crashes of this magnitude. In my opinion, you just look at the charts, okay? What needs to happen from here on out over the next 3 to 6 months for the market to still be bullish? It's very simple. It's the exact same things as before. Bitcoin needs to rally. Bitcoin needs to be in a bull market in order for altcoins to be in bull market. Everyone knows this. So is Bitcoin still in a bull market? The answer is yes. Bitcoin is still above the 50-week SMA. The 50-week simple moving average is $101,900. So as long as it holds here, we're good. So that's first thing you really need to watch. Bitcoin cannot drop below 100K basically. If it drops below 100K and closes below there on a weekly time frame, it doesn't matter what narrative you might look at. This is the end of the cycle. Very, very clear. But currently it's not. So Bitcoin is still in a bull market. Looking at Bitcoin dominance is in a macro downtrend. Now, if the weekly candle on Bitcoin dominance close to take out 62%, this lower high right here, then that's a reversal to the upside for Bitcoin dominance. That means the altcoin season is over. Okay, those 2 points still apply, whether that's pre-crash or post-crash, still the same thing. And then, in terms of immediate action in the short term, if you're looking at this month, when will altcoins likely go, rallying again? Usually that's when Bitcoin makes a new all-time high. That's when Bitcoin makes a big high, big push above the previous high. So we have drawn that before, where that's this move, that's these two moves, and a little bit up here. So these points, when Bitcoin makes a new high, like this little one right there, when Bitcoin makes price discovery like this, that's when altcoins truly start to rally. So because Bitcoin is basically chopping again from current price around 110K to around 125, all of this range, I'm not expecting altcoins to do much. You can overlay Bitcoin dominance chart with this and you'll see exactly what I mean. Only when Bitcoin makes price discovery and it truly starts to rally, that's when altcoins rally. So in terms of actual timing, as long as Bitcoin doesn't break a new all-time high, chances are altcoins are going to chop along with Bitcoin. But once Bitcoin breaks above 125K, I think altcoins will rally. That's the exact same reasoning thesis I have laid out in this last video as well. So that still holds true. So that's basically it. It's the same setup, same outlook that I have for the next 3 to 6 months. Realistically, nothing has changed. Maybe the timing gets delayed a little bit because the last time we made a video, Bitcoin was just about to break above the previous all-time high and go on price discovery. So at around that 122K mark, if it just went on to, let's say, touch 130K, altcoins were going to rally. But at current point, there's a bit more likelihood of chop because we're now at 113 from here till 125. That's a bit of a move that's required. So maybe we have to wait until the end of October, but I don't think it's going to go any different from my previous analysis. Look at the fundamentals, okay? The next FOMC meeting is coming up October 28th and 29th, and then December 9th, December 10th. Both of these meetings are getting priced in around 96% chance that we'll have a rate cut. So this is the October 29th percentage chance, 96.7% that we will have a rate cut. And then by December 10th, 96.1% chance that we'll have another rate cut. So these are all very bullish events. Nobody's talking about these for whatever reason because they can't really, make the disconnect. Okay, they think, oh, altcoins went down, so thus they must go down because, fear, because sentiment. But they just can't look outside of their altcoin bubble and see, hey, macro is good. They're going to cut rates. They might even do, pause QT, and that will lead to Bitcoin going up. And Bitcoin going up always leads to altcoin going up, especially when Bitcoin makes a new high. That has always happened. You can look at liquidity as well. So I'm not gonna, just give you the plain old M2 money supply versus Bitcoin again. But yes, M2 money supply is leading Bitcoin yet again. Bitcoin is stalling while M2 money supply is going up. And there's typically about a like 2 to 3 months lag, and Bitcoin is in that lagging stage. So that's another point that shows us Bitcoin is likely to rally again. Global liquidity, when you look at QT versus QE, this is actually down. So this is the global liquidity index, mainly looking at central bank liquidity that actually matters for altcoins. And you see this actually kind of predicted this crash. So global liquidity here, if I can make it a little bit clearer, you see global liquidity was starting to roll over and Bitcoin dominance started to rally. Maybe it's better to look at this way, yeah. Overlaying it with the same directional chart of total 3 excluding stablecoin market cap divided by Bitcoin. And you see global liquidity was rolling over and altcoin performance versus Bitcoin was rolling over. But this is still in a macro uptrend. Because if you zoom out enough, look, this was the macro downtrend before. And technically this is maybe even high or slightly higher high. So we are simply on a corrective phase for central bank liquidity, QT, QE, global liquidity in terms of altcoins' sake. So we really just need to respect these lows down here, and that'll be good. And we have plenty of time to go for the US Fed to make a pivot. So all in all, I don't see any other fundamentals that have changed except for sentiment. That's basically the summary here. So long story short, my outlook, my plan for the next 3 to 6 months is still to be bullish, remain bullish. All of the fundamentals remain the same. The only thing that have been reset is sentiment in altcoins specifically, and especially for crypto native investors, they only look at altcoins and they just don't look outside of altcoins, even into Bitcoin. And that's a mistake, in my opinion. You don't want to be fearful just because altcoins liquidation happened, market flush happened, manipulation happened, whatever you want to call it. As long as Bitcoin stays above the 50-week SMA, chances are it should rally to new highs above 125K because liquidity conditions are there in terms of global M2, and rate cuts are happening. At least 2 more times are confirmed for the next 3 months. So whenever Bitcoin makes a new high, just imagine Bitcoin goes to 130K. Why would altcoins not go up? It makes no sense. And it's also considering that Bitcoin dominance is still in a macro downtrend, weekly downtrend. That's the real signal you need to look at, not the sentiment signals. So that's why I remain bullish for altcoins. Now, whether this is a early cycle correction or late cycle correction, I don't know. You could argue that maybe this is kind of a late cycle, correction similar to May 2021. And the next time Bitcoin makes a new high and altcoins start to rally, you should start to take profit. Maybe that can be argued, but at least let's wait till end of the year. At least let's wait till Bitcoin catches up to the current M2 lead, and for the next 2 rate cuts to happen. So that's at least till December 10th. Bitcoin rallying, above 130K, altcoins are back up again, and then we can talk about, okay, is this a good time to be selling or not? So at least for 3 months, we should be bullish. Whether this can extend into 2026, that's another discussion. I'm not completely sure about that yet. We will have to see macro conditions over the next 2 FOMC meetings and then look at Q1 of next year. But yeah, taking it one step at a time, I don't think this is the time to be bearish. Be bullish on alts. Ignore the sentiment. Hold your alts, especially for spot positions. If you're holding Ethereum, BNB, XRP, Solana, even all the top 10 alts, there's no reason to be bearish at this moment at all. Okay, so that's my opinion. That's my takeaway. And that's why, that's how I'm positioning my portfolio at the moment. Maybe a bit of personal updates. I was hit pretty hard, to be fair. I like doing about 1.5x leverage, and only on some of the largest altcoins. But even 1.5x leverage on XRP was liquidated on this Friday's move. That's like pretty much unheard of. It happens once in a cycle. So it is hard, even for me, to disassociate the red numbers on the portfolio versus what the data actually tells us. But that's what's most important right now. You have to disassociate, how much your portfolio was actually down if you use any leverage at all versus what the market is actually telling us. The market tells us it is bullish, and that's why we need to be bullish. Ignore how much your portfolio was up before. Look at what your portfolio is worth now. That's what you have. And position yourself accordingly with that amount looking at the market over the next 3 months, it will be bullish. So that's it. Okay. Yeah, that's a bit of a longer rant, but it's really hard, again, even for me, to disassociate in this kind of a sentiment for the market, especially when we look at altcoins all the time. But that's the hard part. That's truly the hard part here. Really, let's move past it, okay? Don't look at that and say, hey, look, we cannot ever touch altcoins again. This is one of the one time out of an entire cycle type of event that has reset sentiment, but all the fundamentals remain bullish. So you want to remain bullish. That's it. Let's end it there. Let's not worry about that too much. If you are still liquid, if you still have a good chunk of your portfolio, hold on to that, be bullish with that, and we can only look forward. So let's keep looking forward. All right, that's it. That's all the time I have for today. So thank you guys for joining the live stream, and follow me on X at VirtualBacon0x. I am actually trading still very actively. There are some really good ICOs that's currently playing out on Solana that I tweet about quite a bit. And on the BSC side, there's a lot of meme action going on. So actually really good time to be looking at those, because nobody wants to touch them now, which is why they actually take quite a bit of time. There's plenty of opportunity there. Thank you guys for joining, and I will see you on the next video and next live stream.